Hello everyone and welcome back to Winter Climbing Weekly. I can apologise for my lack of videos the last couple of weeks. I've been more focusing on doing the short form ones on Instagram. Similarly, I won't be doing any next week just because I'll be away from my computer for Christmas. But I do have some exciting news for the weather and conditions over Christmas and into the new year. It's still going to be taking a little while for those conditions to come in. And as you can see from this blog here, it's pretty abysmal for December. It's going to take a fair amount for this to come back, but the freezing level has gone down quite significantly. It was about 2 degrees in Avonmore last night, so well below freezing on the crags, maybe minus 3 or so. And the snowpack is pretty firm. So what do we have in the short term? We've got a small system coming through, initially falling as snow before the warmer air is going to make it fall as rain again on Wednesday. And it's really starting to cool down towards the weekend. Is it going to cool down enough? Maybe, maybe not. It depends on the location of this low pressure on Saturday. I'm sure you want me to say yes or no for Saturday or Sunday, but I'm not going to do that just because there's so much uncertainty with this. I would say hedge your bets for Sunday, if anything, but it's just the wind direction and the temperatures, which are all to play for here. So this is falling currently as rain on the Saturday evening to the Cairngorms. If I just bob on the freezing level here, you can see for Saturday, the dry bulb freezing level is still 1.2 thousand meters through Saturday, 1.6 coming up here as well. But the wet bulb temperature is about 1,000, whereas on the Sunday it's 800. So that's how close these margins are. That's why I'm not wanting to say yes or no. It's going to be a gamble either way. There might be some room for change in these charts. Say, for example, if the low pressure system stays colder or there's any slight change in the wind direction, we can tap into some of the colder air over Scandinavia. Those would all be slight edges that would make it yes. Similarly, if the low pressure is slightly warmer or it doesn't quite track the right way, it's just immediately going to be a no. So it's just on the cusp at the moment. So I'm afraid I'm not going to give you a yay or nay for this weekend. But what I can say with some confidence is immediately after this low pressure, you can see the high is already starting to build here over Scandinavia. And that is starting to build really, really cold air. You can see it just starting to pop up here on the Sunday over Scandinavia. This is the low pressure system. It's a bit colder than it has been. But I want you to have a look at this high pressure as it's building throughout the Christmas period over Scandinavia. And we are tapping into that around Christmas Eve. And it's bringing exceptionally cold air. There's the -10 isotherm for 1,500 meters coming in for Christmas. Ridiculously cold, and there may be a bit of moisture in it as well. So if you are dreaming of a white Christmas, this chart is a white Christmas. I'm not saying this chart's going to happen, but there's high confidence for high pressure, which I'll dig into a little bit more in just a moment. And it's got all the right temperatures and wind patterns for widespread cold around the Christmas period. And it is only just sticking around, getting even colder into the new year. And I'd like to just bring up why I think that as well in just a moment. But before I go into that, I'll go back to after this weekend, what's happening. We're still just in this in-between section. And then into early next week, I think conditions will start to build as the colder air coming in is still matching this moisture air from the low pressure. So there may be a good chance for conditions early next week before the really cold conditions come in from this high pressure over Scandinavia. And you can see there's actually a front associated with this on Christmas coming through on these charts. And these charts have been building this high pressure for a couple of weeks now. If anyone asked me around like the 5th, 6th of December, when is this warm spell going to end? I think I was saying like the 22nd, 23rd. So it's coming a little bit later than that. But that's how long the confidence has been that this high pressure system is building and building significantly. This chart has high pressure building all the way to the end of the run. I appreciate it's moving around, going more to a negative North Atlantic oscillation here. But it is still there, high pressure dominating us. I'm just going to bob on the, where is it? This one, the regimes. And you can see the reds are the blocking high pressure systems. You can see almost certain in this chart here for high pressure blocking over Christmas, and that is the Scandinavian blocking. And then the blocking over towards Iceland, this is what's going to be changing towards the new year, or hopefully changing towards the new year. And that will bring the northerly winds with kind of ideal conditions. So there's not going to be any sort of massive wintry snows coming over Christmas. there will be snow, and if there is snow, it will be to low elevations based off these current charts, but it's not going to be anything like Storm Dara we had last November or anything similar to that. It will just be a steady progression of colder conditions, building layers, and ice routes coming in, especially if we have got, look how long this high pressure is building for. That is a month of the dominating air mass being the reds here, the blockings, the high pressures, which is ridiculous. And even then, it's not getting completely dwindled by the positive NAOs or the warmer conditions. I've got the sea level pressure weekly mean anomalies here as well. So we've got this really warm southwesterly from the low pressure. The greens are low pressure systems and the pinks are kind of the high pressure. So it's a really general chart here. It's quite hard to bring anything away from them. Apart from when you see something like that for the Christmas period. High pressure over Scandinavia, bringing cold easterly winds over the top of us, sticking around, moving slightly further to the northwest for the new year. And even then, there's not much kind of trend for the second week of January. But again, the regimes doesn't really have anything winning out, but there's still a slight hint for high pressure. And by this point, if it was going to be a low pressure dominating Atlantic air mass, these kind of charts tend to lean to that more than leaning to high pressure. So it's still matching what we've seen from this regime chart here as the high pressure dominating for until a month, realistically, which would be amazing to see. So finally, I'd like to just go over these ensemble charts by the weather outlook, which are really useful. You can see the warm spike here of this kind of frontal system going through on Wednesday before cooling down significantly. And then we've got the high pressure building in with the operational run taking us really cold around Christmas, but still a severe drop around there. And this is the one I'd like to bring the millibars, so the pressure for the Cairngorms just shooting up around Christmas, so high pressure dominating. Similarly, with high pressure, you'd associate low wind speeds, which is again what we can see from the mean wind speed here, and the gust wind speed. It's really difficult to get strong gusts in high pressure dominating air masses, so you can see it's just properly leveling out there. And then snow depth as well, just to get you all a bit excited. It is picking up slightly, so fingers crossed. But other than that, I'm just going to leave that there because I'm not feeling too well. So have a Merry Christmas and fingers crossed that we get some of this cold air mass and maybe even a white Christmas this year to low-lying levels. But thank you very much for listening.